Hello, and welcome to the Health Data Ethics Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Owens, and I'm really excited because in this episode, we're going to introduce a series on the blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights recently released by the federal government. We're going to be breaking this down into its distinct categories. We're going to be diving into the citations. We're going to be discussing how we can apply some of these frameworks that the federal government has suggested in the healthcare setting in particular, and then think about how that might apply in industry or in consumer settings. I'm really excited about this. So in today's episode, I wanted to do a brief overview of the recently released blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights. White House put this out. It is a lovely write-up. And so I just wanted to do a quick overview because we are going to be spending subsequent episodes diving a little bit more deeply into each one of these 5 categories. So the White House teases up and says, that artificial intelligence does pose a challenge. It can threaten the rights of all people, but our government is really concerned about the American public. And so they've worked with a bunch of different groups to pull together a framework for governance of these technologies. They have broken this down into 5 separate categories. These are all intended to be kind of overlapping with each other and thus provide a pretty significant shield of protection for your average American citizen. So they have broken this down into the following 5 categories. Safe and effective systems. So they the recommendation is that the average American citizen should be protected from unsafe or ineffective systems. Number 2, algorithmic discrimination protections are recommended. So a member of the American public should be subject to no discrimination on the basis of an algorithm, and that the algorithms that bear on their lives should be used and designed in an equitable way. Americans have a right to expect data privacy, that they should be protected from abusive data practices, and that they should have agency in selecting how their data is used or if it is used at all. We have a right to notice and explanation. So we should be able to know that a system is being used with our data. We should understand what are the outcomes based on that data. How is this information being used to benefit me or to benefit others? And then last, we have a right for human alternatives, consideration, and fallback. So can we opt out where appropriate? We should be able to. If we do not wish to participate in an automated system, is it possible for us to have a human alternative instead? This framework broadly applies to automated systems that have the potential to impact our rights, opportunities, or access to critical resources or services. Healthcare is specifically listed as a critical resource or service. So all of these really do bear on us specifically in healthcare. I found reading through this article, and I will drop the link in on LinkedIn or in the show notes. Reading through this was really interesting to me because whenever I read federal guidance, I always start off kind of with a bit of a chip on my shoulder. And I think, well, this is very common sense. It is nice that we are codifying this, but this is not groundbreaking. And then as I read through this and as I continued to think about this, I really do like this framework for thinking about how to govern artificial intelligence quite a bit. I like the framing of an artificial intelligence bill of rights for us, for the humans that are participating in the system. What can we expect? What are our rights? What can we, if we are engaging with the system in good faith, what are reasonable expectations? And I think these are very nice baseline expectations. I think it will be interesting to see how academia and industry choose to navigate these recommendations because, like most federal guidance, they are quite broad. And it will be interesting to see how people interpret these, especially concerns about algorithmic discrimination. And what does it really mean to have a safe and effective system? So I'm going to be talking about a couple of I'll be breaking down each one of these. So we're going to spend an entire podcast episode, sometimes more, talking about each one of these elements of this Bill of Rights. So the safe and effective systems, the algorithmic discrimination, the data privacy, the notice and explanation, and the human alternatives. We're going to talk about all of these, and I'm really excited to dive in. I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts initially? I'd love to hear from you.